Ken Whiting with Paddle TV, and in this video we are going to be talking all about spray decks or spray skirts. These are the things that go on a kayak, a sit inside kayak, not a sit on top kayak, but they go on the kayak to keep water out, keep the kayak from swamping. So if you capsize, the water won't get in. If you just get a wave or splashes onto the kayak, it won't get in the kayak, or even just the drips that come off your paddle sometimes, keeps those out of the kayak. And an added benefit though of spray skirts is that they keep you warmer, keep your lower body warmer in the kayak. Now, cutting right to the chase, let's just get it out of the way. The reality is with spray decks or spray skirts is that there is absolutely no way to rock a spray skirt and not look like a dork. That's one of the biggest problems with kayaking is spray skirts. They make you look dorky, and I think even worse is when you put a spray skirt on, you're bound to get one of the world's worst wedgies. But on the good side, why do we put ourselves through the discomfort of looking like a dork and getting big wedgies is because in many cases they're essential pieces of gear. In fact, there is an argument, and there are arguments being made, that a spray skirt can be one of your most valuable pieces of safety gear. But it's an interesting discussion, not relevant to most people, but the highest level of paddlers in the roughest of conditions, and not something we're going to get into right now. What we are going to get into right now is answering the question of, do you need a spray deck? Is it something you should be considering? And so let's dive right in. So spray decks are designed for sit inside kayaks, not sit on top kayaks, but not any sit inside kayak. Some sit inside kayaks don't have cockpit coaming, which is a lip on the cockpit rim that goes around the boat. And that's what the skirt latches onto or holds onto. If your sit inside kayak doesn't have a lip around the cockpit, you can't use a skirt. If your kayak has that lip, then you can use a skirt, but it doesn't mean you need to or should use the skirt. Whether or not you need to use a spray deck really comes down to the type of paddling you're doing and the conditions that you're doing it in. That being said, it's pretty much essential to be using a spray deck. If you're paddling a sit inside kayak and you're not in calm water, or you're in calm water, that can become rough very easily. Because the whole idea is the spray deck will prevent you from swamping, and it will give you the option to roll if you capsize. So as an example, if you're whitewater paddling, you need to be wearing a spray deck, otherwise your kayak will swamp. And that pretty much applies not to hardcore whitewater paddling, but paddling in anything more than just class 1 current. It also applies to paddling in open bodies of water, water that's exposed to wind and waves, where it might be perfectly calm, but it could also change like that, and waves can drum up and become a real issue very fast. And so in calm water that is protected from waves, big significant waves being drummed up, it's really not an essential thing to have a spray deck. And that's why most recreational kayaks, which are designed for paddling in those types of conditions, those mellow conditions, they often don't even take a spray skirt because you don't need one. The only reason to really use one is to keep the drips from your paddle from getting on your lap, maybe getting some splashes in there, stay a little bit warm. But otherwise, you don't need one. Whether you need to use a spray deck or not, let's now talk about how to choose the right spray deck, because there's lots of different styles to pick from. Before we do though, gotta send a quick note of thanks to the sponsor of this video, which is Outdoor Play here in Hood River, Oregon. They're an online retailer, if you didn't already know about them. They've been specializing in paddle sports for a couple of decades now. They actually sponsored my second instructional video ever back in 2001, and they're still really leaders in the industry. They ship worldwide, but they offer free shipping in the States for orders of more than 49 bucks. And they also have a price match guarantee so that you know you're going to be getting the best price. And even better than that, they have provided me with a code to give to you. It's Paddle TV 15, and that will get you 15% off your next order. It doesn't apply to every product, but most of the products that they carry. And so hopefully you can take advantage of that. So getting right back to it, how to choose the right skirt. All right, so a spray deck has 4 key parts. You have the tunnel, which is the part that goes around your waist. You have the deck, which is the part that covers the cockpit of the kayak. You have the rand, which is the stretchy part that goes over the cockpit rim and holds the skirt in place. And then you have the grab loop, which is how you get this thing off once you've sealed yourself up. So now let's talk sizing. Well, the unfortunate truth is that there's no such thing as one size fits all with skirts. I wish there was, but the reality is there isn't. And so if you have multiple kayaks, there's a very good chance you're going to need multiple skirts. There are 2 parts of the skirt that need to be sized, the tunnel and the deck. Now, the deck depends on your kayak. The best thing to do is to go to the skirt manufacturer's website, and they have charts there where you should be able to find, you can find most kayaks that it'll tell you what size deck you need for the type of kayak you have. Now, if your kayak isn't listed there, what you'll then have to do is measure the length of your cockpit and the width of the cockpit, and they have measurements there, and that'll also help tell you what the right deck size is for the kayak that you've got. The tunnel, on the other hand, much simpler. It's just like a pair of pants. You know, you've got basically small, medium, large, extra large width tunnels, and you know, get the same size as you would a pair of pants. So now let's talk about the different styles of skirt that are available, and we'll look at the 2 extremes, starting with the most basic skirt that you've got. Now, this is a very basic nylon skirt. This thing has a nylon deck. It still has it's got a tunnel. It's got a rand, a bungee cord in this case on the inside. It's got a grab loop, and it's got the deck. But this thing the rand here is bungee. It's very simply adjustable with a knot here at the end. This is not going to provide a good seal on any kayak. In fact, when it's on a kayak, because the deck isn't stretchy, water is going to pool on this thing. It's going to sag. Really, what a skirt like this is designed for is it's a splash guard. It's designed to keep the water from just splashing directly onto your legs, and that's about it. On the other extreme, right there, you have a fully neoprene skirt or deck. Now, a neoprene skirt is really the exact opposite. The tunnel is stretchy, and it's designed to be form-fitting, so water doesn't easily get down into the boat that way. The deck itself is stretchy, and so once it's sealed on your kayak, it feels more like sealing up a Tupperware container. It snaps on and it's tight, and water doesn't get a chance to pool on top of it. It'll just run right off the sides. The rands on a high-performance skirt like this are going to be much tighter, so that means when you snap it on, it's going to take some real effort to snap it on, and when it's on, it's on. It's going to hug that combing really, really well. And for that reason, you got to make sure you leave the grab loop out when you put it on, so that when you do need to get it off, you can get it off. Now, the rands of a high-performance spray skirt. This is the NRS Drylander. This is actually the one not the specific one, but this is the skirt that I use for pretty much any of my high performance kayaking, whether that's whitewater kayaking, sea kayaking. It provides just a solid grip to the kayak. But another type of rand that you'll find, and this is the Immersion Research Royale. It's not a bungee, but it's this thick and stiff rubber around the whole rim of the deck. This also provides a really solid seal around the cockpit rim. These rubber rands can be even more difficult to put on and provide an even potentially more rock solid connection point. This is a kind of skirt where you really don't want the skirt to come off at an inopportune time. But with that, it's really hard. It can be a lot more difficult to get off even when you want to. So this type of skirt is really designed for high-end paddling, for experienced whitewater paddlers who don't want it to inadvertently come off at all. Whereas if that's not what you're into, but you do want more protection than a nylon skirt, then you should be looking at something kind of in the middle. And there's a couple of different ways that looks. This is a hybrid with a nylon tunnel and a neoprene deck. So you get the benefit of a neoprene deck where you're not going to have water pooling on this thing. The rand is quite flexible, but not super flexible, but flexible enough so that it's going to be relatively easy to put on, and it's going to come off quite easily, but it's not going to spontaneously explode on you. If you flip, it should stay on, no problem. You can roll back up. If you get a little wave breaking on you, it should stay on. The difference here is with the nylon tunnel. This nylon tunnel is much cooler than having a neoprene tunnel tight against your body. That neoprene tunnel, it provides a more form-fitted feel, and it's like having a wetsuit. It provides a lot of warmth. This is a lot cooler. So this is more of a sea kayaker's skirt, or even a recreational kayaker skirt, someone who wants to stay in the kayak, but wants it to be cooler. It has, instead of hugging the waist, this one's got suspenders to keep the tunnel from, keep it from dropping down and sagging. So that is one type of hybrid. Another type of hybrid is, well, this isn't so much a hybrid. This is a full nylon skirt. It's got a nylon tunnel. It's got a nylon deck. But what's different about this thing is it has this frame built into it. It's a stiff bar right here, and that is designed to prevent it from sagging when water comes on your skirt. So it also prevents a wave from crashing and just popping your skirt out, imploding your skirt. So this is still a nylon skirt, an entry-level skirt. It's not going to stay on at all times, but it's going to stay on a whole lot better than a totally basic nylon skirt. So in terms of, as you can imagine, cost, the complete nylon skirt is the least expensive. The full neoprene skirts, high-performance skirts, are the most expensive. And then the nylon skirt and the hybrid skirt, or the enhanced nylon skirt and the hybrid skirt, are kind of in the middle. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a few tips for putting on a spray skirt or spray deck. And the first one is, do not put it over your head. Don't try to put it on like a shirt. You got to step into this sucker. And after you step in, you pull it up and you accept the fact you're gonna get a wedgie. Embrace the wedgie. Next tip is to put your spray skirt on before you put your life jacket on, because then when you cinch your life jacket down, it's gonna hold your skirt in place, whether it's a nylon skirt or a neoprene skirt. Tip number 3, even if it's hot out, if the water's warm, if you are paddling in rough conditions or you expect to be doing some rolling, then I would definitely recommend wearing a short sleeve, at least paddling top, and that will stop a lot of water from just going down into your skirt. Because even a neoprene skirt, it'll let down the small of your back, along your spine or along the front, you'll get a lot of water into your kayak if you're rolling a lot. We're talking like ocean surf and whitewater paddling. Wear a shorty light paddling top to really reduce how much water is going into the boat. Similarly, if you're paddling in colder conditions and are wearing a paddling top and it's rougher water, whitewater or open exposed water, ocean surf, anything like that, then the paddling top you want to get one that has a double tunnel. And to explain what that is, this top here has a tunnel around the waist. It's 2 tunnels that are attached in the middle. And the way this works is that your skirt goes over top the inside tunnel, and then the outer tunnel seals over top of that. And by doing that, any water that comes up, manages to come up the jacket, isn't going to come into the whole body of your jacket and soak all your underlayers and get you soaking wet and uncomfortable and cold. That water that comes up is probably going to come right back out. Some of it may creep down over your skirt and get into the kayak, but you're going to stay dry. And the final tip is, after doing everything right, make sure you don't do the biggest thing wrong, which is tucking the grab loop under the cockpit rim when you put it on, because when you need to get out and you can't find that grab loop, it's hidden under the cockpit rim. That's a horrible, horrible feeling. Make sure the grab loop is always outside of the kayak and easy to reach before you set off. Well, there you have it. All about skirts. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and it's provided some insight into what these dorky things are all about and whether you need to use one or not. Because, you know, I find a lot of paddlers, they see skirts and they see, just like they see kayaks with rudders, and they say to themselves, a lot of people say to themselves, hey, do I need to be using one of those? Why do they have one and I don't? And that's what this video is about, is letting you know what they are, why, when you need them, and what they're good for, what they're not good for. And what we know they're not good for is style. Unless one of you actually has some ideas about how not to look dorky wearing a skirt. And if you do, please leave a comment down below. I would love to know, because look at me. Stay tuned. We've got lots more tips, gear reviews, and paddling adventures coming your way. So be sure to subscribe to Paddle TV if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.